Li Qiye traveled to the world of covering the sky and obtained the Golden Finger Heavenly Cultivation System. After the reunion, he will climb Mount Taishan with Ye Fan and his party, take the Coffin in Kowloon, and embark on the ups and downs of the path of practice, becoming the supreme existence that suppresses the heavens. Keywords of the novel. No pop-up window for the Sky Crossing Cultivation System. Download the complete set of the Sky Crossing Cultivation System TXT, and read the latest chapters of the Sky Crossing Cultivation System. Chapter 1. Travel through the Sky Covering System to receive accounts. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Travel through the Sky Covering System to receive accounts. On June 10, 2010, the weather was sunny. My name is Li Qiye and I have been traveling to this world for over a month. In this world, my name is also Li Qiye. Just like in the original world, I am an orphan without a father or mother. I have gained a rough understanding of the situation in this world. This is a world similar to my original Earth world, also known as Earth here. It has Chinese civilization and a country where people live a good life. However, some differences are that I traveled to this world from 2023, so there was no League of Legends, no chicken eating, and no pandemic. But these are not important. There are two important things. The first thing, I received a phone call yesterday with a note from Lu Yunji, asking me to attend tomorrow's graduation 3-year college reunion to enhance our relationship. I also mentioned that the people who came this time were Lin Jia, Li Xiaoman, Li Chongqing, and Zhou Yi. As soon as I heard these names, two words came to my mind. Cover the sky, so I couldn't help but ask, will Ye Fan come? The person in front of me said in an unpleasant tone that he would come. Boy, am I a classmate of Ye Fan University. But why don't I have any memory of this? Did I lose my memory? Or is it because my original body died and I didn't inherit his memory? Forget it. Soldiers come to stop me, but the water comes to cover the earth. At the worst, I said I was hit by a truck and lost my memory. I want to retrieve my memory through this party. Anyway, tomorrow is a must-go. Kowloon pulls the coffin, Beidou star. If I don't go, wouldn't it be a waste of time for me to travel? What is the meaning of life then? This second thing is also the most important. After traveling, I had a system and only received it yesterday. Although I arrived a bit late, at least it arrived. I am still very excited when I think about it. After all, as someone who used to read online novels frequently, I often fantasize about being able to travel through the heavens, hack the system, reach the pinnacle of life, and conquer the heavens like a big shot surnamed Gu. The system is called the Heavenly Cultivation System, which is similar to the idle cultivation mobile game I used to play in my world. Currently, the system only has 4 functions: mall, cultivation, root bone, and space. In the shopping mall, you can purchase various items that exist in various heavens and realms, such as martial arts, elixirs, weapons, physical constitution and blood vessels, refining materials, immortal medicines and divine objects. There are only things that you can't think of, and there are no systems that do not have them. And the cultivation techniques, weapons, elixirs, martial arts, and other items obtained from outside can also be sold in the mall, but the price may not be very friendly, making one an unscrupulous merchant. Dongfa refers to the cultivation of one's own martial arts and techniques, which will be included in the system. It can help users upgrade their martial arts and techniques, and also provides a fusion function. Based on the user's cultivation or provided martial arts and techniques, they can be integrated to create martial arts and techniques that are suitable for the user's physical condition. Roots and bones are divided into 10 levels from low to high. Scrap, ordinary, yellow, mysterious, earthy, heavenly, immortal, perfect, heavenly, and transcendent. Scrap is the lowest threshold for cultivation that ordinary people do not have. The higher the level and qualification, the faster the cultivation speed and the higher the comprehension. The current space of the system is only 1 cubic meter, and everything can be put in except for living creatures. In the later stage, it can be continuously upgraded as the cultivation level increases. Cultivation requires spiritual energy to be upgraded, and root bones can be upgraded through spiritual energy or exchanged for powerful physical and blood lineages. Items purchased in the mall require spiritual stones, which can be used to purchase cultivation methods, martial arts, elixirs, and weapons. Divine sources can purchase physical and blood lineages, similar to human currency. For some immortal-level cultivation methods, weapons, and artifacts, they can only be purchased using immortal sources. Lingxu is the source stone, divine source, and immortal source when covering the sky, but its quality varies. Among them, one immortal source equals 10,000 divine sources, and one divine source equals 10,000 spirit stones. Immortal sources, divine sources, and spiritual stones can all be transformed into spiritual energy, which can upgrade techniques, spiritual roots, and weapons. However, it should be noted that the spirit stones, divine sources, and immortal sources in the mall cannot be converted into spiritual energy, nor can they be used as source stones. Although there is no difference between the two, the system does not allow entry and exit. Another thing is that once the source stone, divine source, and immortal source obtained from the outside are converted by the system, they cannot be taken out and can only be used to purchase items in the system mall. Overall, this system is pretty good. At least it's not a scam made by some big shots to torture the host, it's a normal system. Alright, that's all for now. This should be my last time writing a diary. I thought I was traveling through an ordinary parallel world, and I wanted to become an entertainment king here based on my knowledge of the original world, including internet legends, business legends, and century myths. I didn't expect it to cover the sky, so I'm going to take off. No one can stop me, and even if Jesus comes, it won't work. I said it after writing these. Li Qiye closed the diary and called the system to put it into the system space. He estimated that this diary would not be taken out in the future. After taking a look at the system mall, the items inside are truly diverse. In addition to divine items such as immortal gold, divine medicine, Hongmeng purple qi, and Shilong, there is also a milk jar from a certain baby, diapers from a certain emperor's childhood, and even a 500-year-old dragon urine from a shameless dragon. The effect is to wipe it on the body, repel all ghosts, and prevent all evil spirits from invading, causing the gods to flee. It's hard to imagine how a dragon has not been on a small scale for 500 years. If this thing is put on him, he can't stand it. The dragon urine ghost of 500 years knows how strong the taste is. If the dragon has diabetes, it can't let him go to heaven. Besides, what kind of soap can remove the taste? Thinking about it, I couldn't help but tremble again. Of course, these are not important. Li Qiye mainly focuses on martial arts, and weapons in the system mall. For example, he saw the imperial-level martial arts of the world of covering the sky, such as the strongest imperial scripture of Luanhai, the Tao Jing, the strongest imperial scripture of the Tao Gong, the Western Emperor's Classic, the strongest imperial scripture of the Four Extremes, the Eternal Universe Sutra. There are also the Heavenly Emperor Sutra, created by Emperor Yi himself in the future, but looking at the purchase price, the desire is extinguished by 10 zeros after 1. In addition, he also saw the secret techniques of other worlds. There are specialized physical cultivation techniques, among which the more powerful ones include the Bodhi Sutra, immortal body technique of the 9 transformations of gods and demons, immortal body technique of 10,000 calamities, etc., all of which are created by powerful individuals in a chaotic universe. They can fully tap into the potential of the physical body and achieve the goal of destroying the universe with the power of the physical body alone, achieving immortality and immortality. There are specialized techniques for cultivating divine souls, which can unify souls, transform them into countless worlds, and achieve eternal life and immortality. Such as the Sanqi Hua Shen Ju, Shen Hun Jing, Sanqing Jing, Reincarnation and Reincarnation Jing. There are also Qigong techniques that open up the inner universe and create creatures, such as the Hunyuan Tian Jing, Chongqing Tian Gong, and Qijing. There are also many powerful martial arts skills, secretaries, and Taoist techniques, such as the 3000 Great Tao technique in a certain cultivation world, the 7 slashes against heaven, the sword-pulling technique, and the 36 forms of the magic knife in a certain cultivation world, the purple chi from the east, the 9 forms of the opening heaven, the 3 clears of divine thunder, and the Qiankuan in the sleeve in a certain cultivation world. There are imperial weapons in the weapons, such as the void mirror that covers the heavenly world, the emperor's sword, the Hengyu furnace, the Fuxi dragon steel, the Nyuhua stone, the Nineli map, the Western Emperor Tower, and the Emperor's seal. There are also weapons from other celestial worlds, some of which are unknown and unclaimed treasures, such as the first fire nurtured by the chaotic universe, the sword born from the destruction of the universe, and the stone mirror condensed from absorbing the laws of the heavens. Of course, there are also some familiar treasures from the world, such as the Chaos Qinglian and Pangu axe from the primordial world, the Eastern Emperor bell, and the diamond carving. Of course, it is unknown whether it is the highest and most desolate world, but it is not a bad idea as it requires billions of immortal sources to buy, so it is probably genuine. Physical bloodline needs to be purchased from divine sources, including the chaos body that covers the heavenly world, the innate holy body, and the dominant body, as well as the bloodlines of divine and ferocious beasts such as the true dragon, phoenix, white tiger, and Kunpeng. Li Qiye prefers the bloodline of the eye type. In addition to the well-known divine eyes in many novels, there are also some other very powerful but unknown divine eyes in the system business. For example, the invincible double eyes, the chaos Tao eyes, the time and space silver eyes, the demon eyes, and the abyss eye, each of which is very powerful and terrifying. Taking the silver eyes of time and space as an example, because of the origin of time and space, at its peak, the heavens can be returned to their original source through the eyes, directly returning to zero and disappearing from the river of time, annihilating history, and creating a multiverse and rules. You can also unify the heavens and me, cut off your past, future, and even present, and become an unknown, unforgettable, and unimaginable existence. Of course, although the time and space silver eyes are very powerful, they need to devour the time and space avenue or other avenues for growth, so the purchase price in the mall is not super high, of course, it is only a comparison with the same level. The reason is that it is too difficult to grow and almost impossible to reach the so-called upper limit. Chaos pupils are also very powerful, capable of deducing all things and understanding rules thoroughly. De Cheng can evolve the heavens, devour their growth, control the Tao of the heavens, and achieve the mastery of the heavens. Originally, this was the innate divine eye of a chaotic demon god in a certain supreme universe, who could grow rapidly by devouring the laws of chaos and divine objects. Even when lying down without practice, one can continue to grow, but at a slow pace, measured in epochs. Of course, it can also devour spiritual objects, divine beasts, bloodlines, physique, and immortal gold to upgrade. Compared to time and space silver eyes, the growth difficulty is much lower, so the price is very expensive. The price of time and space silver eyes in the mall is 300 million yuan, while chaos Tao eyes is 4.9 billion yuan. You can tell by the price. It's not that the time and space silver eyes are not powerful, on the contrary, they are very powerful, no less than the chaos Tao eyes, but the upgrade method is even more terrifying than the chaos Tao eyes. On the other hand, the low price is due to the fact that the initial silver eyes were not very powerful. Compared to the sky-covering constitution, at the beginning, they were probably at the same level as the divine body. Without practicing the laws of time and space to the level of quasi-emperor, it was almost useless. And from the beginning, Chaos Tao Tong is immortal, not something he can currently touch. However, these still made Li Qiye dizzy and drool. I really want to buy it all. But I just thought about it. Now that I don't have any hair on my body, it only adds to my worries. Fortunately, the system also knows that the host is a poor loser with nothing. In order to take care of his emotions, a free cultivation voucher was given as a gift, allowing you to choose any cultivation method. His qualifications are not good. According to the system's spiritual root level, he is just a useless spiritual root, just an ordinary person. If one can cultivate a body refining technique, it can increase their physical strength, enhance their combat power and defense. He prefers the Bodhi Sutra, which does not require much aptitude. Even disabled people with disabilities can cultivate it. But it is very difficult to cultivate, and some people are extremely poor and cannot get started in their lifetime, because from the beginning of beginner cultivation, they need to search for various genius treasures, divine objects, and elixirs to assist. According to the records of the world in which this book is located, apart from the founder of the Bodhi Sutra, even becoming a strong person who can walk in the heavens did not achieve complete cultivation, and the difficulty was simply abnormal. But for Li Qiye, it's quite simple. He has a system where as long as his spiritual energy is sufficient, he can add some points to achieve perfection. Of course, the required spiritual energy value is definitely an unimaginable number. There are a total of 24 levels of cultivation techniques, and the first 12 levels can make cultivators invincible in the realm of humanity, with unparalleled physical bodies. They can kill a great emperor with just one punch, and even the true immortal light cannot possibly surpass the 12 levels of the Bodhi Sutra. The last 12 levels will be invincible in the immortal realm, with an immortal body that never dies or dies, and a divine soul that has integrated into every cell of the body. They can split the cells and transform into incarnations with the same combat power as themselves. The body will transform into countless forms, and one person will be 100 million strong. Whether it is a single fight or a group fight, they will be invincible. When the immortal emperor comes, he can fight to death. Anyway, one word. Hang. So without hesitation, I chose the Bodhi Classic. After confirming my choice, the name of the Bodhi Classic appeared in the system's cultivation column. Currently, the system panel displays Name: Li Qiye. Age: 28. Race: Human realm. None root bone. Scrap, cannot be improved, physical constitution. Mortal body skill. LV0 of the Bodhi Classic, cannot be improved, martial arts. None spirit. 0 spirit stone. 0 divine source. 0 immortal source. 0 Although Li Qiye has the cultivation method, he doesn't want to start practicing now. He knows his qualifications and practicing overnight won't have any significant effects. And soon we will climb Mount Taishan Mountain with Ye Fan and leave the earth. There is no need to waste energy on this. When I think of climbing Mount Taishan tomorrow and taking the legendary Jiulong bus, my heart is filled with excitement. I not only expect what the future will be like after I embark on the training, but also whether I will be as invincible as the future Emperor Yi. I really hope time passes faster. Ye Fan, we will meet soon, and I don't know how my original body relates to you. I hope it won't be so bad. But even if it's bad, it doesn't matter. As long as we're not enemies, at most we'll take advantage of you. That's not excessive, right? Thinking of the 9 wonders of immortal medicine and holy spring in the forbidden area, Li Qiye thought that it was best to befriend Ye Fan in order to maximize his benefits. Even though his original body had a bad relationship with him, he had not seen him for 3 years and had already entered society. Moreover, he was not his original body, so he should be able to establish a good relationship with Ye Fan. After thinking so much and looking at the sky outside the window, it was already evening. Li Qiye suddenly became a bit sentimental and will be leaving this rental house where he used to live for 3 years tomorrow. I can also be considered a person of 2 generations, why do I always do so poorly? After thinking so much about what to do, everything tomorrow will become memories, and the past will drift away. It's better to rest well, nourish your spirit, and face tomorrow's gathering. The previously written article has been deleted and the settings are not very good, so it has been rewritten. The title and cover cannot be changed temporarily, so it looks different from the content of the article. I hope you don't mind. End of this chapter. 2. In the second chapter, see Ye Fantai climbing Kowloon. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Meet Ye Fantai at the gathering the next day. The sunshine was bright and it was a good time to go out and relax. Li Qiye rested for the night, washed himself up, and took a taxi to the agreed-upon location. Mingyue City on the sea to attend the party. Many people came, including Zhou Yi, Wang Ziwen, and Lin Jia, who were important figures in covering the sky. There were also some people who had not heard of their names, probably those who died on Mars. Li Qiye's originally prepared statement of amnesia from being hit by a car was found to be completely useless. Seeing these people looking at him with unfamiliar or expressionless expressions, he guessed that he should be one of the cannon fodder in the original work. Since that's the case, it reassures him a lot. At least he doesn't have to worry about getting into a bad relationship with Ye Fan. As for Lu Yunji, a character who is destined to hiccup, there's no need to negotiate. On the contrary, it is necessary to establish a good relationship with Ye Fan in the upcoming Mars and ancient forbidden areas, at least to obtain the holy fruit and divine spring themselves. My own qualifications are too poor and I don't have any special physique. Not taking the holy fruit will cause many obstacles to my future cultivation. After finishing their meal, everyone went back to the hotel to rest. The next day, the group went to the university campus where they had studied. During this time, many people sighed and reminisced about the little things they had done on campus. The beauty that has passed away can only be left for memories. We can never go back to the past. The past has already passed, and we can never come back. Li Qiye couldn't help but feel sentimental. After 2 lifetimes, he didn't have much to miss about college. He just couldn't let go of the time he wasted in the past and the things he didn't achieve. Yes, the past has become memories, passing away like this, passing by like a white horse, everything is drifting away like clouds and smoke. Upon hearing someone speak, Li Qiye turned his head and saw Ye Fan standing next to him, feeling a bit surprised. This should be the first formal exchange between us in college so far. To be honest, I didn't even know you were my classmate during my 4 years in college. It feels like transparent people, right? Ye Fan was stunned for a moment and laughed heartily. There's really a bit of that meaning, he said, otherwise, the people at this gathering can tell from my expression. I guess everyone else at the gathering, except for Lu Yunji who invited me over, probably forgot that they had me as a classmate in their college class. Even Lu Yunji doesn't know who I am. Inviting me over may be because he just saved my phone number after graduating from college. To be honest, my life has been quite unsuccessful, and no one is interested in me, whether in school or in society. There is no sense of existence, do you think? Li Qiye smiled helplessly and said. This is not a lie, the original person is really a person with no sense of existence, living a relatively humble life. After crossing over, he found that his original social relationships were pitifully low, with nothing but work. He searched through this guy's communication software and found that only the phone numbers of leaders and college counselors were on his phone, and there was no social interaction except for movies on his computer. Once he received a phone call from his leader, who surprisingly asked if he was an employee of his own company. Why don't you remember having him? Let him know that he is a person with no sense of existence in the company. As for why I called, it was because my leader was promoted and I was preparing to gather and invite my colleagues to celebrate. I found out that there was still such a presence among my subordinates, so I called to confirm. He couldn't help but be speechless, and his original identity was probably the worst among these people. Ye Fan smiled and said, everyone has their own value in existence. Isn't being alive the greatest value and meaning? A short period of time doesn't represent anything, and laughing until the end is the winner. I think you won't be an ordinary person in the future, maybe you will become a big person, and you need to have confidence in yourself. Li Qiye couldn't help but burst into joy upon hearing Ye Fan's words. Look! The future Emperor Yi said that I would become a big shot, so wouldn't I just ride the ride of the strong? I, Li, will definitely be a famous existence for eternity. Haha. Let's borrow your auspicious words and get to know each other officially. My name is Li Qiye, and I hope we can become friends. Li Qiye extended his hand and said. Ye Fan also shook hands and said, My name is Ye Fan. It's nice to be friends with you. I hope to keep in touch with you more in the future. If you have anything to do, you can come to me. I will try my best to help. This is what you said. I, Mr. Li, did not force you. Upon hearing these words, Li Qiye couldn't help but think of using this son of luck to do something within his abilities. Cough cough, at most let Ye Fan have more enemies, but this is also a disguised way of honing him. I am also doing this for his good, with good intentions, even more than my own brothers. Everyone played at this gathering for a few days, and these days Li Qiye and Ye Fan chatted happily. Although they couldn't be called true good friends, they were better than ordinary friends. Today we are going to climb Mount Taishan. This is also the moment Li Qiye has been waiting for a long time. The long-awaited journey of cultivation is about to begin, and the important turning point of his life is also about to appear. It is a moment of success in counterattack, breaking the fate, soaring in the world, or history unchanged, becoming the unknown cannon fodder on Mars. This kind of fate is not under his control. It feels stronger and stronger when he climbs Mount Taishan. How can it not be changed since he is allowed to cross the world and given the system? He does not want to become a mortal who has lost all sentient beings, nor does he want to be fed by the supreme beings who regard them as ants. He wants to break the so-called shackles, even if the system seems to him, it may still be a chess piece played by the strong in the hands of sentient beings. But he doesn't have the ability to break all of this now. The first thing he needs to do now is rewrite his own death in the original text. He wants to live and step onto the Beidou, then plunder all the opportunities he can get, transcend the past, grasp the present, and control the future. With these thoughts in mind, Li Qiye's heart gradually settled. It's no use thinking about them now. There's nothing to hesitate about when it's all here. Now I have climbed to the top of Mount Taishan. Standing on the top of the mountain and looking down the mountain is like standing in the sky looking down on all living beings, and I feel my own insignificance, which gives people a kind of spiritual shock. Undoubtedly known as the head of the 5 sacred mountains and the #1 mountain in the world. The sky is too high to reach, so we can offer sacrifices to the gods in Mount Taishan mountain. 72 emperors and the capital of Qin, Huang, Han and Wu in ancient times were offering sacrifices here for no reason. Looking up at the sky, looking at the azure sky, I thought to myself that it should be coming soon. Just as he thought of this, he saw a few black spots appearing in the sky. Just as Ye Fan was about to chat with Li Qiye, suddenly 9 huge creatures pulled a huge coffin and fell towards him. He couldn't help but be shocked. At this moment, all the tourists in Mount Taishan are frozen. What do they see? Dragon. The dragon in myths and legends actually exists, forgetting to shout for a moment. But after a moment, he began to run around because the dragon was about to fall, and if he looked again, he was waiting to be smashed to death. Ye Fan and the others also reacted and began to evacuate in an orderly and rapid manner, and the 9 dragons' coffin landed on the Jade Emperor's peak like this. Boom! The 9 massive objects seemed like the 9 mountains had sunk, causing the Jade Emperor's summit to shatter into large cracks, splashing with soil and dust. After the vibration stopped, it was unknown how many people were injured or killed on the mountain. Although Ye Fan and his team were shocked to see the dragon, they still prepared to go down the mountain for safety. Just as they were about to descend the mountain, Li Xiaoman suddenly pointed ahead and said, "What is that?" A half-piece of jade is exposed beneath the cracked surface, with a bright reflection under the sunset. Although everyone had some fear in their hearts, they still took a few steps forward and saw a round altar exposed under the 1-meter-wide crack, with a broken half-piece of jade displayed on it, resembling a jade book. How could it be like this? Is there something buried below? The round altar was not big, simple and ancient, made of 5 colors of strange soil, filled with the breath of time, and it has existed for many years. Look, there's more ahead. Wang Ziwen, standing at the front, showed a surprised expression and pointed to the wider crack ahead. Under the nearly 2-meter-wide crack, there is also a 5-colored earthen altar. The round altar has been shattered, and a jade board sealed inside has been exposed, with many complex words and symbols engraved on it that no one can recognize. Seeing these, Li Qiye suddenly said to everyone, "Since we have all arrived here, there is no danger now. Why don't we continue to explore? 9 dragons pull the coffin. I really want to know who the great figure is buried inside. Perhaps it is possible that the legendary 3 emperors and 5 emperors are all buried here. What do you think?" After thinking for a while, everyone felt it made sense. They had seen the dragon, and it might be a bit difficult to go down the mountain in this situation. It's better to continue exploring. In the future, when I go out to chat with people, I can still boast about it. Some people start taking photos with their phones and taking pictures of the 9 dragons pulling their coffins. "Look, there's a huge altar in the central pit," suddenly someone called out. The bronze ancient coffin smashed a huge deep pit into the ground, and beneath the pit was a huge altar, not made up of 5-colored boulders, steadily carrying a 20-meter-long bronze ancient coffin without any signs of fragmentation. Suddenly, the 5-color altar shook, and everyone fell onto it without paying attention. A pile of ancient books carved from jade blocks and stone slabs on the altar was knocked down, leaving a mess. There are many copper-green rust stains on the bronze ancient coffin not far away, but it still cannot conceal the blurry bronze carvings, as if they are all ancient gods, and even with tears on them. The distance was so close that it was even within reach, making everyone feel fearful and shivering from their backs. This 5-colored altar, which has gone through endless years, was built by ancient ancestors to worship the heavens. Can those ancient emperors really summon something? Could it be that the 3 emperors and 5 emperors, the Qin Emperor and Han Wu, had other purposes in Mount Taishan? Do there really exist immortals and ghosts in this world, and are they truly immortal? Thinking of these, many people started to back down and prepare to go down the mountain. Everything that happened today is quite mythical. I just watched it and it's meaningless to stay. It's safer to go back. However, just as everyone was about to leave, suddenly the jade blocks and stone slabs displayed on the 5-colored altar became crystal clear, and all the ancient characters engraved on them were shining brightly, shimmering with 5-colored light. The piles of jade blocks and stone slabs suddenly cracked and burst into brilliance. Above the bronze ancient coffin, thousands of ancient characters were shining. The surroundings of the bronze ancient coffin began to bloom with brilliance, and Ye Fan and others were caught off guard by this sudden phenomenon, followed by a darkness before everyone's eyes. At this moment, Li Qiye's lips showed an imperceptible smile. Finally. Finally, it made me wait. I, Li Qiye, will change my fate against the heavens and reach the pinnacle. Beidou, I'm here. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Martian Bodhi Leaf Ancient Coffin Obtained Scriptures. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Martian Bodhi Leaf Ancient Coffin Obtained Scriptures. What should we do? Who can save us? Are we really inside the copper coffin now? How could that be? I don't want to die here, my wife. I miss you so much. People are constantly dialing with their phones, but they are unable to get through and connect with the outside world, which is even more frightening. At this moment, both Zhou Yi and Wang Ziwen began to comfort everyone and remind them not to panic, as rescue efforts would surely arrive. However, Ye Fan leaned aside without speaking, recalling the Tai Chi and Bagua diagrams that appeared before he entered the ancient coffin, which gave him a hint of a bad feeling in his heart. Perhaps we are no longer on Earth at this time. The bronze ancient coffin came from outside, and they are already inside the coffin. It is uncertain that we are already in space at this time. Li Qiye didn't have so many thoughts, he looked around, his eyes searching for someone. Pang Bo also entered the bronze ancient coffin at the last moment. Can't help but say, did everyone enter the ancient coffin? We should count the number of people. Upon hearing his words, someone in the crowd began counting the number of people, 1, 2, 3. 20.8, 20.9, 30. Why is there an extra person? I remember we only have 29 people in total. Who is the extra person? He remembers that there were only 29 people attending the party this time, so it's impossible to make a mistake. Upon hearing this, many girls couldn't help but start to fear and cry, and many people began to feel chills from behind. Someone said with a trembling tone, "Isn't that the extra owner of this coffin?" With this statement, Ye Fan, Wang Ziwen, and Lu Yunji couldn't help but shrink their pupils. Is it really the owner buried in this coffin with them? If so, it would be terrifying, and they dare not continue to think about it. Li Qiye couldn't help but curl his lips as he watched these people react. This Pang Bo is really boring, it's even scary at this time. Watching those people crying and trembling, I felt a bit annoyed. Speak directly and say. Don't pretend to be a god or a ghost. It's already this time and you're still scaring people. It's interesting, isn't it? It's a 1.1 competition. A heavy cough sounded from the pitch-black corner, and the black figure moved its body before making a deep and hoarse voice. Ghost. Ghost. The hoarse voice echoed inside the bronze coffin. At this moment, everyone felt cold from head to toe, shivering. Ghost sister. Li Qiye said and walked directly towards the dark figure, ready to uncover this guy. Don't do anything, I'm human. I'm just too tired to catch my breath when speaking, it's not to scare you, Pang Bo explained as he walked out of the darkness. The next thing was like that. At first, everyone doubted Pang Bo's identity, but after Ye Fan confirmed it, nothing happened. Then everyone began to use the lights on their phones to observe the surroundings. I saw blurry bronze carvings carved on the walls of the coffin, with fierce 9-headed divine birds spreading their wings and soaring high, as well as huge ferocious beasts with feet-long hard thorny fur roaring up to the sky, very similar to the ferocious beasts in the classic of mountains and seas. And many character carvings were also found, including ancient ancestors and some ancient gods, as well as a large area of strange patterns, densely packed and dotted, resembling a starry sky. Li Qiye separated from the crowd and walked to the middle of the coffin, where a small copper coffin was placed. Many people also noticed it, so they couldn't help but be curious. Some knowledgeable people said it was a real tool for burying corpses, and many people stepped back. After an unknown amount of time, there was only a loud bang, followed by a tremor and silence. A glimmer of light seeped in from above. Everyone was overjoyed and crawled out of the coffins, then lost in thought. In front of them was a desolate land, as if the earth had been stained with blood. Li Qiye said. This is not Mount Taishan, or even the earth. Ye Fan also agreed and said, indeed, this is not the earth. Look at the sky, the earth doesn't have 2 satellites. Li Qiye pointed to the giant stone next to the bronze ancient coffin and said, there are inscriptions on that stone, let's see what we can find. In this way, everyone began to observe the inscriptions on the giant stone, which were Zhong Dingguan. Ye Fan had some research on this and quickly said, the inscription on it is Yingguo. Combined with the 2 satellites in the sky, I think we should be on Mars. How could this be possible? There isn't enough oxygen on Mars, how can we survive? Ye Fan said, you have seen the dragon, and there is nothing else that is impossible. It's time now. It's better not to have unrealistic fantasies. At the moment, we should think about what to do next. At this moment, Li Qiye pointed to the distance and said, there seems to be houses there, maybe someone lives there. We should go and take a look, maybe we can get some answers. Following Li Qiye's direction, there was a vague building in the distance, and a glimmer of hope flickered in everyone's hearts. Perhaps they were truly saved, and many people quickly began to run towards it. Li Qiye walked slowly towards the front, and Ye Fan and Pang Bo walked up to him and said, "Do you really think there is someone there?" "I don't look like it." "I don't know either, it's just that we don't have a choice in the current situation. If we don't go, there won't be any clues. It's better to go and see if there really are any clues to go back." Ye Fan and Pang Bo also nodded. Indeed, there was no choice in this situation for a long time, and then they walked towards the distance together. At this moment, Li Qiye was thinking about what to take. He doesn't like many things, he dares not take the bronze ancient lamp, he can't even move the plaque of the Dongtian temple, and the quasi-emperor's forbidden weapon is very good, but he doesn't want to compete with women for things. Of course, there are also many things that he dare not take, such as the bronze ancient lamp with the great perfection of the holy body, which has a high probability of his own death. He is not a holy body and cannot resist the attack of that thing. He doesn't know where the quasi-emperor's forbidden weapon is, so he can't follow Li Xiaoman to grab it. He can't do such a thing. The plaque is too big and heavy, and he currently has a physique that he can't lift at all. He doesn't like other things, so being careful following Ye Fan can definitely avoid the next disaster. The only thing he wants is the Bodhi seed, but it affects Ye Fan's future direction. He doesn't want to change his direction, otherwise his prophetic function will be ineffective if the future changes. And there is the divine soul imprint of Shakyamuni inside, he doesn't want to provoke, ghosts know what will happen. After much thought, he fell in love with the Bodhi tree and a few Bodhi leaves on its branches. Although this thing may not save his life, he can still comprehend the repair of the immortal realm scriptures left by the Emperor of the Wilderness in the bronze coffin. As for one's own safety, standing next to Ye Fan and Pang Bo, safety is still guaranteed. There is no 100% safety, and opportunities are always sought after in danger. After arriving at the building, everyone discovered that it was just a collapsed palace ruins, and also discovered that it was the legendary Dongtian temple. They couldn't help but be surprised and began to search for treasures in the palace. Later, like the original work, many people found some magical tools, among which Ye Fan obtained Bodhi Z and bronze ancient lamps, and Pang Bo obtained plaques. At this moment, Li Qiye said, "We've already explored here. We should go back now, and staying any longer is meaningless. Legend has it that the Great Thunder Sound Temple is suppressing the peerless demon underground. If this is really the Great Thunder Sound Temple, then I'd better hurry up to avoid any situation." Many people, upon hearing this, feel that it also makes sense. If you're not afraid of 10,000, be afraid of the unexpected, and prioritize safety. Afterwards, everyone began to go back, but history remained unchanged. On the way back, many people were pierced and killed by small crocodiles. A group of people ran back to the altar, using magical tools to repel countless crocodiles that had suddenly attacked. When the altar lit up and was full of energy, everyone ran into the coffin. The divine crocodile still harbors in Li Xiaoman, and the divine Nian also killed a pitiful dragon trap. Fortunately, without him, history has changed. Next came endless silence. Li Qiye leaned against the central coffin, and Ye Fan was also sitting there, closing his eyes as if asleep. Li Qiye knew it was Ye Fan receiving the scripture. He did not hesitate any more. He took out 2 pieces of Bodhi leaves and put them in his mouth, hoping to get the scripture to repair the immortal realm. Fortunately, the Bodhi leaves were still awesome. After using 3 pieces of Bodhi leaves, he got the complete scripture. Although this journey was thrilling, fortunately, I obtained the opportunity one wanted and was very satisfied in my heart. I, Mr. Li, am also a person of great fortune, with I still won't stand the flag. If it works, it won't be good. Closing his eyes, Li Qiye was already thinking of the Big Dipper in his heart. In no time, they will reach the Beidou, the the place with the most opportunities, the highest danger, and the most arrogance in the world of covering the sky. He is about to start a brand new life and create his own legend in this magnificent world. At this moment, he really wanted to say that heaven doesn't give birth to me, Li Qiye, and then there was no other way around. Such a powerful statement in his heart is not very impolite. He wanted everyone in the Big Dipper to know that this famous saying came from Li Qiye's mouth and became the second person under a certain big shot in the heavens. End of this chapter. Chapter 4 ends with the first perfection of the ancient forbidden area scripture. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4 ending the first perfection of the ancient forbidden area Bodhi Sutra. The universe is vast, and there are countless mysteries hidden in the endless starry sky. For humans, it takes countless years to truly explore the mysteries of the starry sky. Li Qiye and his group stayed in the ancient coffin for an unknown amount of time. Their phones had already run out of battery, and they didn't know where they would be sent by the coffin next. Perhaps it was another dangerous place like Mars, or perhaps they would return to Earth. At this moment, in the vast and quiet space, 9 massive dragon corpses pulled the bronze ancient coffin and arrived at the other side of the starry sky. This is Beidou. The 9 dragon corpses pulled their ancient coffins and crossed into the star field where the Big Dipper was located, then flew into the Big Dipper and entered the ancient forbidden area known as the 7 Forbidden Areas. Ye Fan and others only felt a whirl in the coffin, followed by a loud and violent vibration, and everyone realized they had arrived at the station. I see the light. This is a bright world. Many people exclaimed excitedly, then walked out of the coffin and saw a scene completely different from Mars. In front of them was a towering ancient tree, and in the distance were undulating beautiful mountains and lush trees. Near the mountaintop, there are peculiar rocks and vigorous ancient trees, as well as old vines as thin as a bucket coiled like a dragon. There are also lush green grass and fragrant wild flowers, full of vitality and vitality. Many people wept with joy as they endured too much darkness and silence in bronze coffins, which was unimaginable torment for those living in human society. No one could have a mature and long-lasting darkness, let alone those like them who had previously experienced wandering in death. I was inexplicably embarking on a terrifying space trip, watching people around me die from a legendary ferocious beast piercing their heads in Mars. The dull and empty gaze before death made many people unable to close their eyes and could only suppress their emotions until the next unknown destination. Bang dang, suddenly, the bronze giant coffin behind everyone let out a metallic tremor, which immediately stirred everyone's nerves and turned their heads to look. 9 massive dragon corpses, with most of their bodies hanging at the foot of the cliff, and copper coffins not far from the cliff. At this moment, the 9 dragon corpses, like the Great Wall of Steel, are slowly sliding down the cliff, and the copper coffins are also being driven forward. Subsequently, the 9 dragon corpses and the huge bronze ancient coffin fell to the bottom of the cliff together. After falling for a long time, no sound was heard, making everyone shudder. They wondered how deep it was and how long it had fallen without making a sound. Li Qiye's expression was calm. Jokes, even if you lie on the ground with the earpiece, you won't hear anything. Below is the place where the ruthless emperor and the holy body of Deshang stay. Then he said to the crowd, "Don't look, now we should be thinking about how to get out of here. Didn't you see a stone tablet here? It seems to have words engraved on it, indicating that this place, like Mars, has been visited by people." Many people were walking towards the direction of the stone tablet, which was half broken and wrapped in several thick vines, with 3 ancient characters engraved on it. Ye Fan said, "The inscription on the stone tablet contains the 3 characters of prohibition of ancient times, but it is not coherent. There should still be characters left. If we find the remaining half of the stone tablet, we will know." Quickly, someone found the remaining half and roughly confirmed that it was written as the 4 words of the forbidden area in the wilderness. After seeing this, many people's faces changed, and Ye Fan, Li Xiaoman, Pang Bo and others also furrowed their brows. A place that can be designated as a forbidden zone is definitely not a good place. Perhaps beneath this peaceful appearance lies an unknown and terrifying danger. After the last Martian death, many people began to feel uneasy and fearful. This can't be just coming out of a tiger's den and then into a wolf's den. Don't play with people like that. Even Li Xiaoman, Zhou Yi, and others who were previously relatively calm, couldn't help but feel a hint of despair. Li Qiye doesn't want to waste too much time on these things. He also wants to follow Ye Fan to eat divine fruits and drink divine springs. So he said, "We haven't eaten anything for a long time. Let's first find some food to replenish our energy, and then quickly leave here. Do you want to go with Ye Fan?" Without much thought, Ye Fan went out with Pang Bo to find something to eat. Along the way, they saw a huge peng bird appearing in the sky, holding a giant elephant under its claws. It reminded them of the legendary golden-winged peng. With the determination in my heart to leave here quickly, these mythical and legendary beasts have all come out. I'm sure I can't stay here any longer, as I know that if I stay for too long, something else will treat me as a snack. Li Qiye followed behind and began to calculate in his heart that these divine fruits and springs could transform his physique, containing enormous medicinal power. Eating them would allow his system to absorb spiritual energy, so that he could cultivate the Bodhi Classic to the first or even second level when leaving the ancient forbidden area. He looked at the system and found out that upgrading to the first level requires 1000 spiritual energy, while the second level only becomes known after the upgrade. Suddenly, Pang Bo pointed ahead and said, "There is a spring pond over there." Li Qiye looked up and indeed, just a few dozen meters ahead, several old vines with a bucket thickness surrounded a piece of open space. There was a 1-meter square spring pool, gurgling and flowing like a nectar spring. Next to the spring pond, there are more than 10 small trees over half a meter tall, with broad leaves that are verdant and dripping, resembling human palms, as if several small people with multiple arms are standing there. At the top of each small tree hangs a bright red fruit, resembling a cherry, but it is as big as a chicken egg. As soon as I saw this Li Qiye, my heart was filled with excitement. My chance came, and then I said to Ye Fan and the others, "There are fruits and springs on top, we can use them to satisfy our hunger." Ye Fan didn't mind either, so he walked over and smelled the strong fruity aroma from a long distance, almost making all three of them drool. However, Ye Fan remained worried and said, "Will this fruit be poisonous? What if I get poisoned after eating it?" Li Qiye doesn't care about so much, whether it's poisonous or not, I will eat it. If you don't eat it, I will eat it first. Thinking about it, he stepped forward and picked a fruit and stuffed it directly into his mouth, then said, "Damn it, I'm starving to death. This is not the Earth. Do you think it's effective to rely on our Earth system to distinguish whether it's poisonous or not? Even if I die, I want to be a starving ghost." Ye Fan and Pang Bo were speechless when they saw his hungry and reincarnated appearance. Although they also began to join the ranks of foodies, each person ate 4, and the remaining one was picked by Ye Fan to leave for Lui. Looking at the spring water next to him, Li Qiye said, "This water is probably also a good thing. Let's use some mineral water bottles to fill it up. If you're thirsty on the way later, you can still drink it." Then everyone started filling their mineral water bottles with spring water. After filling them, Li Qiye said, "You guys go back first. I need to find a place to get a big one. I've been holding it for a long time, but now I've had enough to eat and drink and I can't hold it anymore." After listening, the two of them were also speechless, but still reminded, "Be careful, this place is not safe, and it's best to stay away from here, after all, in case you come again in the future." The words were not finished, but the meaning was very clear, affecting the city's appearance. Li Qiye said in a very anxious tone, I know, go quickly." After finishing, he ran towards the distant jungle. Ye Fan didn't say anything at first glance and walked back with Pang Bo. Seeing that the two figures were no longer visible, Li Qiye quickly ran back to the spring water and took out a pure water bucket from the system. He muttered, "I'll just pack one bucket, not too much. In the future, if Ye Fan gets injured, I'll give him a small cup to drink. I'm also thinking for Ye Fan's sake. You don't want him to be severely injured and die outside, do you?" As he spoke, he put the pure water bucket into the pool and listened to the gudong gudong figure, feeling like countless gold coins poured into his pocket. He believes that with this bucket of water, Li can also create a business in Beidou. When Ye Fan is recruited, he will have a continuous supply of divine spring water, and it will be the first pure water monopolist in Beidou at that time. Let's start another advertisement. We don't produce holy water, we're just porters in the ancient forbidden land. Of course, just thinking about it, if he really did that, he would definitely be arrested and tortured by some noble families and holy sites in Beidou. Then he looked at the system panel. Name: Li Qiye. Age: 28. Race: Human realm. Nun root bone. Scrap, evolving, physical constitution. Mortal body skill. LV0 of the body classic, can be increased by plus, martial arts. Nun spirit. 10800 spirit stone. 0 divine source. 0 immortal source. 0. Seeing this, Li Qiye felt that he needed to upgrade a wave, otherwise he would be easily bullied if he left the ancient forbidden area. He is only a mortal now, and even if he upgrades his spiritual roots, he cannot defeat those who have been practicing for many years. Thinking of his gaze, he looked at the bucket and found it full. He packaged it and placed it in the system space, then took it down and clicked the plus sign. Then his body felt a huge pain. His internal organs seemed to be about to be crushed, and his skin and muscles were pulled out. The pain twisted his face and he almost fainted. Fortunately, the pain was brief, and after a while, I sat up again. Then I felt as if a powerful force was emerging from my body, as if I could easily smash the ground through a deep abyss. Of course, he knew it was just an illusion of breaking through too quickly, and he didn't have the power to hit the mountain with a single punch. This promotion has made his first chapter of the Bodhi Sutra complete, and now he weighs 200,000 pounds solely based on his physical strength. After completing each level of this cultivation, the physical strength increases exponentially. Although it may seem like a small spicy chicken compared to those arrogant individuals, it is still considered good compared to some ordinary geniuses. Looking at the panel, the Body Classic has changed to LV1, with 9,800 remaining spiritual energy points. The second level requires 10,000 spiritual energy points, and it is estimated that the spiritual energy points required for each subsequent level upgrade will increase exponentially. After thinking for a moment, he felt helpless and said, "The more powerful the martial arts are, the more difficult it becomes to practice. It seems that we will have to go to the Purple Mountain in the northern regions in the future. However, it's too early to think so much now, so let's go back first." Then they returned the same way, and next, they had to leave the ancient forbidden area to see if they could see some opportunities. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Stepping out of the forbidden area and upgrading roots and bones. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Stepping out of the forbidden area and upgrading roots and bones. After Ye Fan and his companions returned, Pang Bo gave the remaining divine fruit to Lui. Li Chongqing beside him couldn't resist the fragrance of the fruit and said, "Pang Bo, where did you get the fruit from? We are all starving. Hurry up and give me one." He then grabbed the fruit in Pang Bo's hand. Pang Bo slapped away and couldn't help but sneer, "You have such thick skin. We took the things we risked to get, and you took them with just a word. If you want to eat them, go find them yourself. Don't just nag and watch them get annoying. Besides, I'm just one person. How can I divide them? I'll bite them down and share them with everyone. Do you want to eat them?" Li Chongqing's face turned pale with anger as he said, "How could you speak like that? We are classmates, and now we are all in a strange world. We should work together and help each other. Now we are all very hungry. If you have something to eat, you should take it out and share it with everyone. Is there anything wrong with that? Many people beside me fell silent for a moment. In fact, they all understood the truth, but human nature is selfish and has nothing to do with good or evil, good or evil. Only by living can one have the right to say these things. In the end, Pang Bo gave the last fruit to Li Qiye and let her eat it. At first, Li Qiye felt a bit embarrassed, but with the comfort of Pang Bo, she still ate it. Not far away, Li Qiye had already rushed back, and Ye Fan and Pang Bo saw him return. Pang Bo couldn't help but speak up and said, "It takes so long for you to use the large size, isn't it constipation? How did you solve it after using it? Did you wipe it clean? Does it smell strong?" Listening to the question of why these goods are worth 100,000, Li Qiye's mind went black. Why is your focus so bizarre? Want to know? Just keep walking forward and you'll see a crooked-necked tree. Just brush down a dozen centimeters and you'll know. What do you mean? Why should I go there to dig the ground? Pang Bo said, somewhat puzzled. Ye Fan suppressed a smile on his face and remained silent. However, Li Qiye said, "I don't even know about this, ye shit you." Upon hearing this sentence, Ye Fan couldn't hold back, and Pang Bo also understood the meaning behind it. "I couldn't help but get angry and say, okay, you old Li, you let me eat X, I'm XXXXXX. After a few words of confusion, the few people began to prepare to leave this place and set out. On the way, they saw a blurry black figure under the abyss, dancing hundreds of meters of thick iron chains and roaring upwards, intimidating the world. It angrily smashed the bronze ancient coffin, and the outer layer of the coffin had already been opened. Many people didn't understand why it was doing this. Only Li Qiye knew in his heart that there was a hadao flower prepared by a ruthless person for Ye Fan inside. Even if someone preached before him, as long as he took it, he could achieve the position of emperor. In the original work, this flower and leaf was not used and relied on their own incredible combat power to successfully preach under the reign of Emperor Jinwu. His disciple Komatsu almost died in the end because he protected Ye Fan's wife and daughter from the attack of the immortal emperor with his life. Although Ye Fan saved him, his cultivation was lost, so he used hadao flower to help Komatsu return to the throne. Because of the terror brought by the dark shadow, coupled with the tiredness along the way, everyone had to stop to rest and sleep. The next day, as we continued on our journey, we didn't know how long it had been. One of the people saw a building in the distance and suddenly shouted to everyone, "Look! There's a building there, are we going out?" "Really? Look, there are still cranes flying in the sky. It shouldn't be the legendary immortal cave, right? Is there really a fairy here?" A group of people were full of excitement, as if seeing the scene of themselves being saved and then worshipping immortals to cultivate their way. Li Qiye watched for a while, then stopped looking. The place he landed was part of the ruins of the mythological ancient heavenly court. Although he really wanted to enter, only those who were destined could enter that place. In the original work, it seems that Wang Ziwen and Lin Jia, who were later forced to enter the forbidden area to collect herbs, successfully entered, and both of them gained great opportunities and were teleported away from Beidou. Besides, he doesn't want to go if he can really get in. What if he's teleported away? He picked up sesame seeds and lost watermelons. He has a system and a shopping mall, and as long as the spiritual stone tube is sufficient, he can buy anything, so there is no need to deceive himself. At this time, Ye Fan and Pang Bo had a dispute with Li Changqing, Lu Yunji, and Wang Yan because Wang Yan had taken away Lu Yi's magical tool prayer beads. Ye Fan demanded that they return the prayer beads to Lu Yi. These few people naturally refused, and as a result, Li Changqing and Lu Yunji were repaired, probably holding a grudge like the original work. Li Qiye approached Ye Fan and said, "I think they have a grudge against you. With the hearts of Lu Yunji and those others, it is inevitable that they will not do anything out of line. After all, this is not the earth. You should pay more attention to them and not be bitten by snakes. Ye Fan's eyes flickered a few times, and there was a chance that a cold light would bloom in his eyes. Then he said to Li Qiye, "Thank you, I will pay attention. If you really want to be considerate of me, I will not show mercy." Li Qiye, seeing him like this, also knew that this guy had a murderous intention. The subsequent events were the same as the original work. These three people were ultimately thrown into the tiger's den by Ye Fan, and it is estimated that they were rescued by the deity Nian of Deshang holy body later on. After solving Lu Yunji and his companions, they finally managed to walk out of the ancient forbidden area without any danger. Later, many people began to heat up all over their bodies, and blood and flesh seemed to evaporate. Slips of blood seeped out of their bodies, causing unbearable pain and rolling back and forth on the ground. Struggling, crying, rolling, shouting, many people were almost desperate, shouting loudly, and the excruciating pain gradually blurred their minds. In the end, everyone's bodies were shrouded in a layer of blood, like flames burning with blood. The intense struggle and painful roar made the nearby mountains no longer peaceful, and startled the nearby birds and beasts to flee. Others are still suffering from inhumane torture, like being in purgatory, experiencing the most tragic torture in the world. In the end, everyone passed out, and no one was able to maintain their sanity. Compared to others, Li Qiye is much better. He has already practiced the first level of the Body Classic to perfection. Although it is still painful, he has not fallen into a coma, but he has also found that his body is constantly shrinking, indicating that the efficacy has been achieved. But he thinks it's good. How many people's dream is to rejuvenate? Although he's only 28, it doesn't affect him. At least he can develop again. This is the dream of many goji berry men. At this point, he checked the system panel. Name: Li Qiye. Age: 28. Race: Human realm. None root bone. Ground item, cannot be improved, physical constitution. Mortal body skill. LV1 of the Body Classic, cannot be improved, martial arts. None spirit. 9800 spirit stone. 0 divine source. 0 immortal source. 0 The transformation of Lingzhen from scrap to earthy goods represents a significant improvement in his aptitude, as well as a sharp increase in his cultivation speed and intelligence. Although he may not be as good as Pang Bo and Ye Fan, with his 200,000 pounds of strength, he should be considered a little genius. He currently lacks a cultivation technique. No matter what level of cultivation scripture it is, as long as it can be practiced by him, it is enough. His system also integrates and upgrades the functions of techniques and martial arts. Even the worst technique can be impressive with just a few points added, but if it's not enough, it's just the price. Besides, if he cultivates the Book of Heaven in the future and goes to various holy places to earn a fortune, he will have his martial arts, immortal gold, and divine medicine, and give some spiritual stone fusion upgrades. He will break the limit and let those holy families know that Li is invincible in this world, and that just Xiaoji, Xiao Wang, Xiao Jiang, and the little prince can suppress him with one hand, which is not worth mentioning. Thinking about it, Li Qiye couldn't help but burst into lewd laughter. Ye Fan, who was originally unconscious on the side, was also awakened by the laughter. Thinking about his previous severe pain and subsequent unconsciousness, Ye Fan couldn't help but rub his head. Seeing a child wearing adult clothes next to him, he couldn't help but exclaim, "Who are you?" Li Qiye turned around and saw that Ye Fan had already turned into a child of 11 or 12 years old. Then he looked at himself and found that he couldn't get any better either. He looked like he was 11 or 12 years old, which made him feel a bit distressed. Why isn't he 18 or 16 years old? How can I reflect a man's spirit? However, he still said to Ye Fan, "Who are you, little brat? Why are you wearing Ye Fan's clothes? Where has Ye Fan gone?" Ye Fan was stunned when he heard this. Does this little brat call me a little brat? He looked at his hands and suddenly found that they were wrapped around his sleeves. Then he realized that he had become smaller and was somewhat shocked. Before he could recover, Pang Bo, who had just woken up next to him, suddenly said, "Hey! Where are these two little brats from? Why are they still wearing the clothes of Ye Fan and Li Qiye?" Upon hearing these words, Li Qiye and Ye Fan turned their heads to look at Pang Bo, followed by a brief silence. The three little brats frowned tightly, their eyes serious, as if they were thinking about something. After a while, Li Qiye said, "So are you two Ye Fan and Pang Bo?" They didn't say anything but nodded. At this moment, Ye Fan said, "I think we became like this because we ate those fruits and spring water. It seems like we have returned to our youth." "Well, I also think so. Look at Li Xiaoman and the others. They didn't eat those fruits and spring water, they all grew old, and only Lu Yi didn't have much change. It seems that the fruit we ate is not ordinary, it's lucky," Pang Bo said excitedly. But then he said, "But what will they do? When they wake up and see themselves like this, they probably can't bear it. How can we do it? We don't know what's going on, and besides, we've finished eating all the fruit. The remaining one was returned to Lu Yi, and there's nothing left. Although the spring water is magical, they've already drunk it before, so it's probably not going to have much effect," Li Qiye said helplessly. The three of them fell silent again, and by this time many people had already begun to wake up. Except for Lu Yi, who had not changed much, everyone else had become white-haired grandparents. Many people cried loudly, holding on to their gray hair and couldn't believe it. However, in disbelief and helplessness, everyone saw that Li Qiye, Ye Fan, and Pang Bo had turned into children, and Lu Yi remained the same. Upon hearing Ye Fan's explanation, she had no choice but to give up and just want to leave here quickly. During this period, they also encountered some dangers and were attacked by ferocious beasts. Fortunately, Li Qiye and Ye Fan fell victim and even killed the ferocious beasts, allowing everyone to survive the crisis without any danger. However, many people envied their powerful ability to fight fierce beasts, but they didn't have that chance. As the sun set in the west, just as Li Qiye and his group were preparing to rest, a colorful light suddenly appeared on the horizon, like a rainbow passing through the sky, appearing particularly eye-catching in the dim sky. Upon seeing this, Li Qiye already knew in his heart who the newcomer was. Novice Village Guide is slightly online. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Worshipping Master Lingxu Dongtian, comforting Ye Fan and getting favorite feelings. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Worshipping Master Lingxu Dongtian, comforting Ye Fan and getting favorite feelings. Looking at the woman standing in the void, Ye Fan and others saw the legendary flying in the sky for the first time, and even Li Qiye did the same. Knowing is knowing, truly seeing it for the first time is truly shocking. After all, ordinary people dream of flying, imagining that they can fly to the sky and escape the earth, and explore the sky. Now that fantasies have come true, many people are racing towards them, thinking that if only they could also fly in the air and stand tall in the air. Of course, these are just thoughts. Now they are just dying people, whether they can live or not is a question. The person who came here is Vivi, the first genius of Lingxu Cave, with fairy eyes. Even in the constantly emerging Beidou, Tianjiao is not bad. Although the original work did not describe her story much, just from her ability to become the Holy Lord of the Shaking Light Holy Land, it can be seen that her strength and qualifications are not to be underestimated. At this moment, Vivi was looking at the group of people who had walked out of the ancient forbidden area, which shocked her. After all, this was a legendary forbidden zone for life. Not to mention ordinary people, even if it was a Holy Land power, the Emperor would still have no life if he entered. How did they come out alive? They looked at Li Qiye, Ye Fan, Pang Bo and others among the crowd, and then at Li Xiaoman and Zhou Yi. My eyes lit up, and there were some speculations in my heart. At this moment, a female classmate in the crowd cried and said, "We are a group of people in distress. Are you a fairy? Can you save us?" She was now an old woman in her 70s and 80s, her body like a withered and dying tree, about to decay. However, Vivi said, "Are you entering the ancient forbidden area?" A crisp and pleasant voice spread to everyone's ears, gradually calming their chaotic emotions. "Yes, we escaped from that forbidden area. Fairy, can you save us? After we escaped, Joe grew old and I don't want to die." A female classmate prayed in her eyes, hoping that the fairy in the sky could cast a spell to make them look young again. "Oh. So this is not your actual age?" Li Qiye replied, "No, we were all in our 20s before. As a result, the three of us have become smaller, and none of us have changed. The rest have all grown old. I think it should be related to the fruits we ate in that forbidden area." Upon hearing this, Vivi immediately asked urgently, "Is it a red fruit that is crystal clear all over?" "Yes, it was only after eating this that the three of us became like this." "Can the fairy change us back?" Ye Fan said with some hope. "Do you know how many people in the Beidou are eager to obtain such a divine fruit that they cannot seek, and even engage in fierce competition? The three of you are lucky enough to be able to eat this legendary holy relic. Getting younger is not a bad thing for you, on the contrary, it's a great opportunity. Not only do you have high cultivation talents, but you also have more longevity than ordinary people. When you step into cultivation in the future, you will have unexpected effects." After saying such a long sentence, Vivi herself began to envy the opportunities of these three guys. After speaking, she said to another group of people, "Don't despair. Although your appearance is difficult to recover, you have also obtained the qualification for cultivation. As long as you join the cave cultivation and succeed, your appearance will naturally recover." Although this group of people is much worse than Li Qiye, Ye Fan, and Pang Bo, they are also top-notch cultivators. I will take you out, and there will be many people competing for you in the future. Don't be afraid, this is your chance. As long as you are selected, you can practice, restore your youth, and even become stronger. Then she left the ancient forbidden area with everyone. At this moment, not far from the outside of the ancient forbidden area, a small town was brightly lit. As soon as Vivi and her group arrived above the town, 7 or 8 different colored lights shot up from the ground, each with a person in it. That was a group of immortal and powerful elderly people, who seemed to have high levels of power. One of the elderly people said, "Vivi has returned. Have you found anything around the ancient forbidden area? This movement has sent experts from various nearby caves and blessed areas to search for them, haven't you met them?" Later, seeing a group of people behind Vivi, he said with some confusion, "These people probably didn't come out of the Forbidden City alive, did they?" Vivi nodded, and a group of elderly people began to burst out laughing. Looking at everyone, their eyes were very satisfied. These were all good seedlings that could activate the bitter sea for cultivation. If they were all brought back to the spirit void cave heaven, they might be about to rise up. Later, seeing Li Qiye, Ye Fan, and Pang Bo, they all showed surprise on their faces. So young. Vivi explained to the elders that they had taken the legendary elixir from the ancient forbidden area, which led to a rebirth and rejuvenation. The elders were all shocked. They knew that anyone from the Beidou knew that there were 9 sacred mountains in the ancient forbidden land, and each mountain had a kind of divine fruit. Eating any one of them could transform people and elevate their qualifications. Unexpectedly, they could step into the sacred mountain and eat the divine fruit. Those who have always wanted to step on the holy mountain and collect divine fruits in the restricted area have become bones on the holy mountain, and no one has ever succeeded. Today, these 3 ordinary people have succeeded. If this matter were to spread to the ears of the ancient aristocratic family in the Holy Emperor, it would be shocking. Then he began to ask everyone where they were from, how they entered the ancient forbidden area, why their language was so strange, and how they could gather the holy fruit. Li Qiye and others didn't want to reveal the origin of their hometown, so they started fabricating that they came from the western region and somehow got caught inside. The elders do not doubt him. After all, how could a group of ordinary people have the ability to enter the ancient forbidden area? If they could enter so easily, there wouldn't be so many great people who could die inside. These elderly people attach great importance to Li Qiye, Ye Fan, and Pang Bo. They have all tasted the divine fruit and have undergone a transformation. As long as they step into cultivation, they can become cultivators on the other side, even in the realm of the Tao Palace. Plus, there are also those who have activated the bitter sea this time, and they can all practice. At worst, they can also open the life spring, so this trip has gained a lot and everyone is very happy. Just happiness is fleeting. I just wanted to brainwash a group of people. Oh. No, it's teaching. Laughter came from the sky. More than a dozen figures descended from the sky, and then directly said to Li Qiye and others, although there are 6 cave heavens in the territory of Yen, your Lingxu cave heavens are somewhat untrue, and they are almost called blessed places. The person in Lingxu cave's face turned black for a moment. Good guy, we're here to grab someone. Do you want to have a face? Afterwards, the major caves began to rob people. Lu Yi was taken away by the Jade Ding Cave, Zhang Xiling was taken to the Golden Ding Cave, and the others were also selected by the major caves. There were only Li Qiye, Ye Fan, and Pang Bo left. There was nothing she could do, but Wei Wei was too arrogant and used her strength to protect them. Although Lingxu Dongtian felt a little heartbroken, she was still very pleased to see them all. They all had their heads in their hands, not losing. After being checked, Li Qiye and Pang Bo naturally had no problems, and their qualifications were expected. However, after checking Ye Fan, their smiling face turned into a crying face, and their joy turned into a worried expression. Li Qiye knew in his heart that this was to see that Ye Fan was an ancient holy body. Although his physique was against the heavens, he could not cultivate at all in the later stage of the ancient world, and it was of no use bringing it back. He also needed an extra meal, which felt like he was hitting his hands. However, despite their attitude of not taking Ye Fan or going to your cave, they still agreed. Isn't it just about raising one more person? They can afford to raise 100 of them. Humph. At this moment, Ye Fan heard the elder's narration and knew that although his physique was very strong, he could not cultivate in this era, and his expression was gloomy. Others have started to qualify for cultivation, but he is not capable. He feels abandoned and feels a bit sad. Can he only die in a foreign land in this lifetime? He still wants to go back and show filial piety to his parents, but unfortunately, he has no chance. Li Qiye looked at him like this and said, "Don't be disheartened. If someone says you can't practice, then you really can't practice. There is no absolute thing in this world, and everything has a glimmer of hope. As long as you don't give up, everything is possible. Besides, isn't there still us? Although we haven't known each other for a long time, our journey from Earth to this world can be considered as mutual assistance, difficult brothers and difficult brothers. Let's work together to find a way. There's no way for you to practice in the Spirit Void Cave, so let's go find another place. There will always be a way for you to practice. Yeah, Lao Li is right. What a big deal. The three of us can help each other, there must be a way. Besides, you haven't practiced yet, why do you think you can't do it? What if you can? Don't draw conclusions beforehand, Pang Bo agreed. After hearing their words, Ye Fan felt a warm sensation in his heart. Although he knew it was a comforting word, at least they were really willing to help you. Pang Bo won't mention it anymore. He has been friends and brothers for many years, and he has always been wearing the same pants as himself, so he naturally understands. Li Qiye is different, having only known each other for a few days, yet still being able to help him like this has moved him deeply. He feels that his vision for making friends is still very accurate and not blind. However, he didn't know that the reason why Li Qiye said this was partly because he wanted to help Ye Fan. Those who read the original work probably liked Ye quite a bit. Although he had a dark heart, he was really good to his friends. Pang Bo was taken away and he took the risk to save him. Jiang Taishu was on the verge of dying, and he was willing to give him the fruit of the elixir of immortality to continue his life. So he greatly admires Ye Fan's character, as he has a clear distinction between right and wrong, and is a person worthy of deep friendship. Of course, the most important thing is that Ye Fan has many opportunities. If we befriend him, he can share every piece of the pie and collect some wool. This kind of unprofitable business can be considered profitable. At this thought, his heart couldn't help but burst into joy. If he had obtained the secret of all characters and the secret of walking characters and sold them to the mall, I don't know how many spirit stones he could exchange for. When the time came, he would have chosen divine skills and secret techniques, and his imperial weapons and bloodline would not be his choice. At that time, Li would have become the richest man of the Beidou. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Heaven will not give birth to me, Li Qiye. The swordsmanship of Li Qiye will last forever like a long night. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Heaven will not give birth to me, Li Qiye. The swordsmanship of Li Qiye will last forever like a long night. Do you think the sky is clean? There are no clouds for thousands of miles, the blue sky is as clean as a wash, naturally very clean, Ye Fan said, not quite understanding what Elder Wu Qingfeng meant by this. Wrong, the dust is endless. Wu Qingfeng then raised his palm and said, even in this inch of palm, there is endless dust. Elder, what exactly do you mean by these things? I've been confused by you. What exactly is this dust? Pang Bo scratched his head and frowned as he said. He has never answered a riddle correctly since childhood. This elder is even more profound than guessing, and on earth, he is probably a philosopher. Dust is a vast world, said Elder Wu Qingfeng. Everyone doesn't believe it, a speck of dust is a world, isn't it that there are countless worlds around them? This joke is not funny at all. Does Elder mean that any grass, wood, or dust in this world can be a world, including our own body? Practicing is opening up the endless world within our own body, allowing us to control the power within and transcend the world. Li Qiye sat aside and said, although he practiced the body scripture, it did not involve the level of the inner world, at least not yet. Therefore, he still has some insights into what Wu Qingfeng said. Wu Qingfeng looked at Li Qiye in surprise. He simply spoke about his cultivation experience, but he didn't expect someone to understand the meaning so quickly. He was truly someone who had eaten the divine fruit, and his aptitude and understanding were incomparable to ordinary people. A kind smile couldn't help but appear on his face. Not bad, you're right. The way we practice is to open the door to our body's potential. Our body contains countless doors, but we need to dig and open them to release the power behind them. Today I will explain the basic knowledge of cultivation to you, so that you will avoid taking some detours in the future. Li Qiye and Ye Fan began to listen attentively, not missing a single word. This will be the cornerstone of their cultivation, and they naturally need to be treated with caution. Wu Qingfeng pointed to an ancient tree not far away and asked, can you know how many years it has lived? Cut down the tree and count the growth rings to find out. Not bad, time is merciless, and all things in the world will be marked by time. Trees have rings of growth, and our bodies also have rings of life. Do we also have these things? Ye Fan and Pang Bo sounded a bit absurd. People also have growth rings, but where is it? Yes, our first state of cultivation is to start from the wheel of life in the human body. All things have a place of initial birth and development, and there is also such a place in our body that is the fundamental source of life vitality, containing the essence of the whole body. It is called the life source wheel or the life wheel. Li Qiye asked, Elder, do you mean that the wheel of human life is under the navel? Wu Qingfeng was very satisfied with Li Qiye's intelligence and said with a smile, yes, its position is exactly the perfect dividing point between the upper and lower parts of the body. Then he talked about how to cultivate the system of the Wheel Sea realm. Ordinary people who want to practice need to first open the Sea of Sorrow, then open the Spring of Life, establish the Bridge of Gods, and finally cross the other shore. Only in this way can the cultivation of the Wheel Sea realm be considered perfect. The bitter sea represents that you have entered the door and are qualified to embark on the path of cultivation, just a starting point. Mingquan allows your life will to merge with the bitter sea, making you officially become a cultivator. Although you are still a little spicy chicken, you can fly. The divine bridge is an endless sea of suffering. To cross it and reach the other shore, one must build their own divine bridge to succeed. On the other side, crossing the divine bridge and crossing the disaster of loss is the other side, and after experiencing 9 transformations, it has already stood at the peak of the Wheel Sea. The next step is to break through the Tao Palace. After finishing these words, he then passed on the most powerful foundational dharma in the world. The Taoist scripture. To everyone. Although this is not the true Taoist scripture, it also contains some of the scriptures and teachings, making it the best foundational cultivation method. Everyone was excited, and after waiting for so long, they were finally able to start practicing. Especially Li Qiye, who has been waiting all day just to obtain this Taoist scripture. As long as he receives it, he opens up a sea of suffering minute by minute through the system, and after speaking, he begins to remember the content of the Taoist scripture. The way is understandable, it is very profound. After reading this, the system's cultivation panel will display the cultivation methods of the Tao Jing. Name: Li Qiye. Age: 28. Race: Human realm. Nun root bone. Ground item: cannot be improved. Physical constitution. Mortal body technique. LV1 of the Body Classic, cannot be improved, and Luanhai Scroll of the Tao Classic, 10% incomplete, can be upgraded to 8,000 spiritual energy points plus, martial arts. Nun Spirit. 9800 Spirit Stone. 0 Divine Source. 0 Immortal Source. 0 Li Qiye knew that the Tao Jing was incomplete, so he was not surprised. With 8,000 spiritual energy points, he could obtain the complete Will See scroll of the Tao Jing, which is very valuable. After all, this is considered the strongest cultivation scripture of the Wheel See, and practicing it can help him forge the strongest foundation. However, now that there are many people with mixed eyes, he is afraid that upgrading here will attract the attention of others. After all, he has just finished watching and opened up a sea of suffering, which is really scary. Although there is no shortage of such people in Zhejian, he still has a long way to go from those people, so it is better to be cautious. Seeing that Ye Fan and others are still seriously comprehending the scriptures, Li Qiye doesn't want to waste time and wants to go back quickly to complete the skill upgrade. Then he stood up and said to Wu Qingfeng, Elder, I have just gained some insights from the Tao Jing. I want to go back to seclusion and practice, hoping to gain some experience in opening up the sea of suffering. Ye Fan and Pang Bo were both surprised and envious. They are still here with a worried expression, reciting their understanding. This guy already has some understanding. Why do people feel that there is a big difference? Is it because this product is cheating and invincible? Wu Qingfeng looked at him with approval and said, Since you have gained some understanding, let's go. I hope you can open up the sea of suffering as soon as possible. However, remember not to act too hastily. Practicing is a process of dripping water and wearing away stones, and you need to take it slowly. Elder Xie is concerned, and I will definitely live up to the expectations of the elder. I will go back now. After speaking, I turned around and left, returning to my own residence. As soon as I returned to my residence, I immediately sat cross-legged on the bed and opened the system panel. He was originally planning to immediately upgrade his martial arts skills to make it complete, but remembered that the mall had a recycling function, so he couldn't help but want to see how much the Dao Jing was worth selling to the mall. After evaluation, it was worth 800 spirit stones. Li Qiye was very pleased. Putting this thing in the Beidou can earn 1 spirit stone, which is considered a high fragrance. The system mall even recycled 800 spirit stones. It seems that Lao Lu is quite considerate of him. I thought about selling the Taoist scripture to the mall and received 800 spirit stones. Then he looked at the cultivation section and directly clicked to upgrade. He only felt the sound of scriptures echoing in his mind, which was the complete version of the Luanhai chapter of the Taoist scripture. He also sensed that the life wheel under his navel was gathering essence and attacking the sea of suffering. Soon, he broke through the obstacle and opened up the sea of suffering. His suffering sea is black, after all, he is not a special physique and does not have the VIP theme background that comes with those physiques. The ocean of suffering for ordinary people is dark green and black, but it's not a problem for them. You have physical fitness, I have weaknesses, and I will add some upgrades. What kind of divine body, holy body, unified fist will be defeated? Only with enough spiritual energy can he add some to become emperor. Of course, this is just a fantasy, not to mention how much spiritual energy it requires. Even if it really becomes emperor, it is probably the 5th scumbag in battle. There is no realm without strength, it is simply an empty shell. The system is just an aid and cannot be completely relied on. Looking at the heavens, which Big Shot is completely relying on the system to achieve dominance. As some big shots say, I believe someone has achieved what they have today thanks to their own efforts. See the display on the panel. Name: Li Qiye. Age: 28. Race: Human realm. We'll see. Bitter sea root bone. Ground item, cannot be improved, physical constitution. Mortal body skill. LV1 of the body classic, cannot be upgraded at full level LV24, and LV1 of the Taoist classic, can be upgraded at full level LV4, martial arts. Nun spirit. 1800 Lingxu. 800 Xinyuan. 0 Xianyuan. 0. Looking at the remaining 1800 spiritual energy points, I thought for a moment and decided to give up and continue upgrading. On the one hand, I have just opened up a bitter sea and haven't fully adapted, which makes my realm somewhat superficial and not conducive to my future growth. On the other hand, he doesn't want to be too eye-catching and has only reached the realm of the Fountain of Destiny in less than a day. Either it's terrifying talent and being sent to those holy places for cultivation. Either they are targeted by others and suspect that they have obtained this qualification by eating the divine fruit in the ancient forbidden area, becoming a furnace cauldron or human pill to enhance their qualifications and cultivation lifespan. He is not yet so eager to elevate his level. However, in terms of martial arts skills, it is necessary to learn one and increase one's own strength. After considering it, looking at the mall, he didn't have many martial arts that he could purchase with his current spiritual energy value, and his potential was not very high. Although it was enough for him to use during his sea rotation period, he still searched the mall with a garbage man mentality, just like picking up garbage. Suddenly, he found a 2080 Ti and went straight to the European Emperor. Perhaps the god of luck is a broken back, and he actually found one. Dongtian pulling sword technique. 800 spirit stones. Li Qiye believes that it was intentional by the 6th person in the system. The card was so accurate that it happened to be 800, which is actually a left hand out and right hand in. It's a dishonest business. Fortunately, he thought the system was kind, Another aspect is that this cultivation method mainly relies on strength and physical body, as well as one's own understanding of the Tao, to enhance its power. The stronger the strength, the stronger the body, and the deeper the understanding of the Tao, the stronger the swordsmanship power. The heaven-slaying sword technique only requires one move, and even in a duel with a person, it only requires one sword. So those who practice this swordsmanship either become invincible swordsmen or die in duels. Li Qiye really likes this swordsmanship, he doesn't like to learn everything. In his view, the more martial arts and techniques there are, the better. It's about focusing on the essence and learning only one move. As long as one can cultivate the pinnacle and walk their own path, they can still be invincible. It is not impossible to break 10,000 laws with one sword, at least in his opinion. This swordsmanship book has no level limit and can be practiced continuously, just like a blank sheet of paper. Whatever you want to write or draw is entirely up to your own thoughts. The strength of a sword is determined by the size of one's own heart. Although he hasn't practiced yet, he feels that this swordsmanship is suitable for him to practice and doesn't require a brain. Ahem, in short, the harder you work, the stronger you become. With a thought in mind, I immediately spent 800 spirit stones in the mall to purchase the heaven-slaying sword technique. Then spent 1,800 spiritual energy points to level up to LV3. The spiritual energy value upgraded in this swordsmanship is relatively low, increasing from 300, 600900. If it weren't for running out of energy, I would really want to keep upgrading. Now he has successfully opened up the sea of suffering and has also learned the highly potential sky-slaying sword technique. He couldn't help but burst out laughing and said, "In the future, swordsmanship will be respected by me, Li. Heaven does not give birth to me, Li Qiye. Swordsmanship will last forever like a long night." End of this chapter. Chapter 8. The second full plan of the Bodhi Sutra, leaving the spirit void cave heaven. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. The second reunion of the Bodhi Sutra and the full plan to leave the spirit void cave heaven. Time flies, and some people such as Li Qiye, Ye Fan, and Pang Bo have been in the Lingxu cave for almost half a year. In this half year, Li Qiye has already opened up the bitter sea to the limit of his body. In the bitter sea, hundreds or even thousands of divine patterns have been condensed, and he is about to open up the wheel of life and open up the spring eye, entering the second small realm of the wheel sea. The life spring. However, since he opened up the bitter sea, he has been able to generate 30 to 70 spiritual energy points every day through cultivation. Although it is not much, it is still a considerable fortune accumulated over 6 months, and today it has just exceeded 10,000 points. It can elevate the body classic that he hasn't upgraded for a long time to the second level of fullness, and his physical strength will break through 600,000 pounds, greatly enhancing both strength and defense. Looking at the system panel. Name: Li Qiye. Age: 28. Race: Human realm. Wheel sea. Bitter sea root bone. Ground item, cannot be improved, physical constitution. Mortal body skill. LV1 of the body classic, LV24 at full level can increase plus, LV1 of the Tao classic. Wheel sea volume, LV4 at full level can increase plus, martial arts. Sky slashing sword technique LV5, can be increased by plus, spirit. 10086 spirit stone. 0 divine source. 0 immortal source. 0 in the Taoist scripture, he doesn't need to improve. In the next few days, he will open a spring eye and advance to the realm of the life spring. Improving now is a waste of the spiritual energy points he has finally accumulated, and even a fool wouldn't do this. Zhan Tianba swordsmanship doesn't need to be upgraded either. He has been practicing on the mountaintop every day for the past 6 months, and finally, with his unremitting efforts, he has been promoted to 2 levels. To be honest, if it weren't for his practice of the Bodhi Sutra and strong recovery ability, he would probably have been disabled long ago. Every day, I draw my sword from the beginning 1,000 times to 2,000 times, 4,000 times, 6,000 times, 10,000 times, and repeat one action. I draw my sword and cut it to the sky, then return to my sword and withdraw it. It's no wonder the system mall sells so cheaply, relying solely on proficiency to upgrade hard. Without a bit of perseverance, nothing can be achieved, and it may even be a waste of practice for oneself. Without hesitation, he chose to improve the Body Classic and instantly felt intense pain in his body, as if there were thousands of ants crawling inside, trying to bite through his body and crawl out. He gasped in pain, his body trembling, but he gritted his teeth and didn't make a sound. He knew that although the system provided him with the convenience of cultivation that others didn't have, it didn't mean he could just sit back and enjoy it. Everything comes at a cost, and while obtaining convenience, one also needs to bear the pain behind it. Fortunately, Li Qiye had already experienced it once before. Although it was more painful than last time, he had already adapted to it. I believe that breaking through a few more layers in the future will not change his complexion, which is also a good thing for himself. It can improve his composure and willpower, and can be considered an unexpected gain. At this point, the cultivation column Body Sutra has changed from LV1 to LV2, compared to before, there has been a significant improvement in strength, defense, agility, speed, and recovery. According to the game, it is a pentagonal warrior, with warriors plus meat 10s plus assassins plus assistants plus marksmen, developing in all aspects. After looking at the sky, it was still morning. After some thought, he walked towards Ye Fan's residence. He had some plans in mind and wanted to discuss with Ye Fan and Pang Bo. Ye Fan and Pang Bo were currently fighting with a group of teenagers again, because the person on the other side wanted to snatch the 100 grass liquid from Ye Fan's hand, and Ye Fan naturally refused to hand it over. Just kidding, it's already difficult for this ancient holy body to open up the sea of suffering. Without enough spiritual objects, it's almost impossible to succeed. Although Baichao liquid cannot help Ye Fan open up the sea of suffering, no matter how small the mosquito is, it's still flesh. This is his only hope at present. If someone dares to steal his Baichao liquid, it will cut off his path of cultivation, and he will naturally not have a good face. Although it did not open up the bitter sea, at least taking the divine medicine activated it, and some characteristics of the ancient holy body were also stimulated. At least in terms of strength and physical strength, it is not comparable to ordinary people in the realm of bitter sea. Beating a few young people who have just entered the sea of suffering is not a matter of words. With the help of Pang Bo, several people were beaten and their faces were swollen. Li Qiye walked over and asked with a smile, "Why are we still fighting? Look at how we've beaten someone up, they've all turned into pig heads. You can eat them with some spicy sauce." Ye Fan looked at him speechlessly. "They wanted to grab my Baichao liquid, but if I didn't give it, I had a fight with them. A group of useless people, who have no ability, still cause trouble everywhere, and just looking at them makes me upset." Pang Bo also agreed beside him, "Yes, this group of people probably haven't experienced any physical abuse. This time, we have also made their childhood happy. We know what a dad is." Li Qiye smiled and then said in a serious tone, "Ye Fan and Pang Bo, I have something to discuss with you." The two of them also looked straight, and then looked at him, wanting to know what exactly was going on with them. It has been almost half a year since we arrived at Beidou, and both Pang Bo and I have already opened up the sea of suffering. However, I found it difficult to achieve any effect by staying in the Lingxu cave to continue improving our realm. At present, I think the best way is to go out and experience, look for opportunities, especially for you, Ye Fan. You have not yet opened up the bitter sea, and continuing to stay here is meaningless. You are an ancient holy body, and opening up a bitter sea requires a lot of spiritual energy. Relying solely on this 100 herbs liquid cannot help you successfully open it up. Although it is dangerous outside, there are definitely opportunities. Being outside may help you quickly open up the sea of suffering, but of course, it all depends on your own decision. I came here to tell you that I will be promoted to the Fountain of Destiny in a few days, and I will leave here then. If you're willing, you can come with me so that we can have some care." After finishing these words, Li Qiye looked at Ye Fan and Pang Bo. In fact, he originally wanted to go alone. He had memories of his past life and knew that places like Beidou had opportunities to make him stronger quickly. But after thinking about it, after all, we have had a very pleasant time together for the past 6 months, and we are almost always good brothers to talk about. Therefore, we still want to help Ye Fan. Of course, he also has selfish intentions, that is, the Qin Emperor Yang tomb in the primitive ruins is about to be opened. He wants to take advantage of Ye Fan's luck to grab some treasures, sell them to the mall, and keep the useful ones for himself. This way, he can upgrade his martial arts skills. If there are enough spiritual stones, he hopes to exchange them for the Daogong realm scriptures in the Dao Jing. He never thought of taking the path of cultivating the strongest scriptures in every realm of Ye Fan. Ye Fan also had no way to take this path. If there were a complete scripture for him to practice, it is estimated that Ye Fan would continue to practice. The Dao Jing is already enough for him, but too many things can slow down his cultivation speed. In the later stage, when he really wants to create his own method, he can learn from various scriptures, such as the Furnace Nourishing 100 Classics. It's still too far to think about these things now. Ye Fan was thinking, and in fact, he had also considered this aspect, but he had no choice. If he went out to explore an ancient holy body without opening up a bitter sea, he would probably be targeted by many people. During his time in Lingxu cave, he also learned a lot about the Baidu cultivation world, how precious the fruits he ate were, and knew that some evil people would use people as medicinal herbs to refine them into pills to help him cultivate. He is an ancient holy body that has also taken divine medicine, and is definitely the best thing for refining medicine. He is likely to be caught and refined as soon as he goes out. But now what Li Qiye said is not without reason. Staying here is meaningless and will only slowly lead to old age. It's better to go out and fight, perhaps it can really help oneself succeed in cultivation. Thinking of this, he looked firmly at Li Qiye and said, I agree with your idea. Continuing to stay here is just a waste of time. It won't allow me to enter cultivation, so it's better to go out and explore. Perhaps there's really a chance. If I die, it proves that I, Ye Fan, don't have the life of that cultivation. If I die early, I will be reborn. I'll go with you too. Don't lose heart, Yi. With me and Lao Li here, you won't be in danger. When there's really danger, let Lao Li hold on and I'll take you away. Li Qiye's face darkens. I will stand up to the danger of God his mother. Why don't you go up? Why do you call me Lao Li every time? I will definitely let you know what cruelty is when I have a chance. Ye Fan supported his forehead and said helplessly, all right, you too, stop making trouble. Lao Li, when can you break through the spring of life and let us know so that we can go together and be prepared? Li Qiye's expression was a bit stiff. This guy has been infected by Pang Bo, right? Why do you also call me Lao Li? Am I old? But still, he said, well, I know I'll come to see you later. You should also be careful during this time, don't get into conflict with others, and save trouble when it comes to dealing with them. Ye Fan and Pang Bo both nodded in agreement, knowing that if they could avoid trouble at this time, they would avoid unpredictable accidents. After finishing these words, Li Qiye went back, preparing to break through the spring of life and leave the Lingxu cave early to search for opportunities. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Could you please come to your door? Li Qiye's ruthless move startles everyone. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Could you please come to your door? Li Qiye's ruthless move startles everyone, but it is said that Li Qiye began his secluded cultivation, preparing to break through the realm of the life spring. He took Ye Fan and Panhua out to seek opportunities and quickly become stronger. However, Ye Fan's side was not very smooth. The few people who were previously beaten away by them have now returned, surrounded by a young man, who seems to be their leader. At this moment, the young man looked at Ye Fan and Pang Bo with a gloomy expression and said, why did you two beat my younger brother for no reason? We didn't hit your younger brother for no reason. He wanted to grab my Baichao liquid beforehand, and we taught him a lesson. As his brother, shouldn't you take care of him and instead question us? What's the point? Ye Fan also said coldly. Humph, I don't care what he did, all I know is that you hit my younger brother, so I'm going to teach you a lesson so that you can remember. This spiritual void cave is not something you can move around with. Upon hearing this, Ye Fan and Pang Bo's faces darkened, and they all thought to themselves that they had just told Li Qiye not to cause trouble. They didn't expect trouble to come to them so quickly, it was really unlucky. Break their legs and let them kneel down somewhere. Brother, throw them into the lake to feed the fish. I want them to know how serious the consequences of offending me are, making them die in fear. A young man next to him said with a fierce expression. Upon hearing these words, both of them felt that they were going to do their best this time. The other side clearly had no intention of letting him leave alive. Although they didn't know if they really dared to kill them and sink the lake, it was definitely a desperate attempt at this point. With a flash of light, the young man rushed forward like a ghost, his palm fingers crystal clear like jade, and quickly slashed at Ye Fan's neck like a knife. He did not exert all his strength. In his opinion, this palm knife was enough to make Ye Fan kneel to the ground. It was just an ancient and useless body that could not be cultivated, and he was not qualified to make him exert all his strength. What he didn't expect was that Ye Fan reacted quickly, took 2 steps sideways, naturally avoided his attack, and reached out to grab his attacking palm, tightly gripping it, causing him immense pain. You give up on me. The young man's face twitched slightly due to pain and shouted angrily. Bang! At this moment, Pang Bo next to him took action and punched him hard on the back. The powerful force entered his body through his fist, causing a sharp pain in his internal organs and blood stains oozing from the corners of his mouth. Ye Fan seized the opportunity and tightly grasped Han Feiyu's palm. Then, like waving a scarecrow, he violently swung the opponent and smashed them heavily to the ground. Bang! The ground was covered in dust and accompanied by mournful screams. The young man spat out several mouthfuls of blood and lay on the ground with an extremely painful expression. Ye Fan's beating and smashing made his bones seem to have fallen apart. The people around who were watching the excitement were all stunned. They never expected that Ye Fan would be so powerful and even lay this young man down. Looking at the one on the ground, it was probably very serious. He was vomiting blood and his legs were still twitching. Isn't it that Ye Fan can't cultivate? Why is he so powerful? I can't understand. The young man, who had regained his composure, slowly climbed up from the ground with a fierce and ferocious expression. He hesitated as the beast was injured by an animal it regarded as food, and wanted to angrily tear the 2 people in front of him apart. He felt ashamed today. Not only did he not vent his anger for his younger brother, but he was also injured by 2 useless people in his eyes. Just now, he was lying on the ground, screaming in front of everyone without any image. A burst of anger erupted in his heart. Today, these 2 people must die, and he will torture them with the most vicious means. Abuse them. And then kill them in their pleading eyes. Then he gave it to Shigong. Although Shigong wanted to live, he had already been blinded by anger and hatred and had taken over his rationality. You too will pay the price for what you did just now. I, Han Feiyu, will make you suffer and die today. Now I will break your legs. After speaking, there was a slight radiance shining from under his navel, and a divine pattern like a water wave rushed out like an iron rope, quickly rolling towards Ye Fan and Pang Bo. This is. The bitter sea divine pattern can only be used to cast mystical techniques and attack others by cultivating the bitter sea to a young level. I didn't expect senior brother Han to be so powerful. Now those 2 people are dead. One has just opened up the bitter sea for a while, and the other is a waste that cannot be opened up even in the bitter sea. If only they had known to receive some punishment, why bother making such a scene? Yeah, it's too late to say anything now. Just now, Senior Han made such a big fool of himself, and he definitely won't let them go. The onlookers were chattering incessantly, some saying that senior brother Han should treat him with his own way and beat both of them to the ground, bleeding their limbs to death. Some people also say that they will have their limbs chopped off and hung on a tree as a warning to others, letting others know the consequences of offending senior brother Han. Anyway, no one is optimistic about Ye Fan and Pang Bo, both of whom think they need to play. Still the kind of dead without a whole body. Ye Fan and Pang Bo watched as the iron wire like light streaks rushed down as they were about to resist with all their might. I just felt a figure suddenly drift past me, quickly blocking their way and shattering the light with a punch. The two of them saw that Li Qiye appeared in front of them, feeling relieved and moved. Fortunately, Li Qiye arrived in time, otherwise he might have really had to explain it here. At this moment, Li Qiye's face was calm as he looked at Han Feiyu in the distance. He asked Ye Fan and Pang Bo behind him, what happened? How could you fight him? Ye Fan quickly recounted what had happened since he left, and upon hearing this, Li Qiye's expression remained unchanged. He was just about to close down when he heard someone nearby say that Ye Fan and others were fighting and might be killed. He knew that there was a plot in the original work, but he didn't know it had been a long time and didn't remember it very clearly. Upon hearing this, he knew what was going on. It was probably because Elder Han from the Spirit Void Cave targeted Ye Fan and wanted to break through the realm of refining medicine to prolong his life. With these thoughts in mind, he said to Han Feiyu, "You, a cultivator who has practiced divine patterns, actually bullied two newcomers. Besides, your younger brother was at fault first, isn't it too shameless? If you're shameless, I can help you tear it off. What do you think?" Han Feiyu looked at the person across from him with a particularly serious expression. He felt that this person was particularly dangerous, so he coldly questioned, "Who are you and why do you want to intervene in this matter? This is between me and them, you have no right to intervene." "Oh. No right to intervene. They're my brothers. If you bully them, you're bullying me. If you bully me, you have to be prepared to be killed by me. I'll give you a chance to kneel down and cut off one arm, and I'll consider letting you go." "Humph. Let me kneel down and cut off my arm. Since you want to help them, then even you can kill them together to save trouble. You can be companions on the Huangquan road together and die for me." After speaking, under Han Feiyu's navel, light bloomed, and a small wooden seal, which was less than an inch long and square, rushed out of the bitter sea, flowing with emerald green hues that quickly magnified and smashed towards Li Qiye. Li Qiye pursed his lips disdainfully and said, "With just this little strength, why bother pretending to be at home? It's not good to stay at home. You insist on picking things up, wasting my time." Speaking, he swung his right fist directly towards the wooden seal that was about to be pressed down, only hearing a bang followed by a crisp click sound. The greenwood seal was smashed and flew out, with several cracks distributed on it, directly shocking everyone, including Han Feiyu. He couldn't believe it, that person just punched his magic weapon and it even cracked. Is this guy still human? How could he possess such powerful power? Ye Fan and Pang Bo were also stunned. They knew that Li Qiye was very powerful, after all, he was about to break through the fountain of life. It was still easy to hit Han Feiyu, but unexpectedly, it was so abnormal. With just one physical punch, they could smash the terrifying mark that they saw as incredibly terrifying. The two couldn't help but glance at each other. Although they were physically strong, they were not so strong. Could it be that Lao Li also had some special physique? Then they didn't think much about it. Seeing Li Qiye's figure quickly flash, he instantly approached Han Feiyu and grabbed his neck. Han Feiyu wanted to dodge, but he couldn't do it and was directly held up in mid-air with his throat locked. "Give you a chance, you're useless. Ah. Do you know how much time you've wasted on me?" After speaking, he raised his right hand and slapped him hard in the face, causing his face to instantly turn red and swollen, with blood splattering. He spit out more than 10 teeth in his mouth, probably missing them all. After finishing speaking, he slapped again, "Do you know how precious my time is? Do you know that wasting time is wasting life? Ah. Pop. Let you pretend to be different. You don't look like it. Pop. You don't want to kneel down and cut your own arm. Pop. What are you saying you can't do? You're the first to be beaten. Are you cheap or not? Pop. A group of people watched as Li Qiye slapped and cursed repeatedly, feeling a chill spreading from his spine to his whole body. Don't offend anyone in the future. He's really ruthless. Look at how he fights, it's completely inhumane. After playing for a whole 15 minutes, Li Qiye stopped and let out a breath. He looked at Han Feiyu, who could no longer distinguish between human and animal faces, and said, I told you that if you didn't want face, I would help you tear off your face so that you wouldn't have to lose face and be beaten up in the future. Of course, I have to take off one arm and one leg from you. It can be considered as your bullying of my two brothers and a compensation for wasting so much of my time. Without waiting for Han Feiyu to directly grab onto his face, he heard a tearing sound and a pitiful scream. A bloody face appeared in Li Qiye's hand, and he threw it to the ground in disgust. Then he grabbed Han Feiyu's right arm with his right hand and pulled it hard. Then, a bloody arm was torn off and thrown onto the ground. Before Han Feiyu could shout, he grabbed his right leg and pulled it hard, and one leg disappeared. At this point, Han Feiyu had already passed out, and the pain was unbearable for a person. If he didn't pass out, he would also have to pass out, and passing out was still a good thing. After clapping his hands, Li Qiye said to Ye Fan and Pang Bo, who were looking at him with their mouths open, let's go, there's not much excitement here. Then the two of them followed Li Qiye like robots, and before leaving, they also took the green wood seal with them. Selling it to the mall should be worth a few spirit stones. If it's not worth it, they will also remove the remaining arms and legs later. The three of them left gracefully, leaving only a group of shocked and speechless people standing there still. End of this chapter. 10. Chapter 10. Li Qiye's closure and Ye Fan's breakthrough of the Sea of Sorrow. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Li Qiye's closure and Ye Fan's breakthrough of the Sea of Sorrow. Ye Fan and Pang Bo followed Li Qiye all the way to their residence, and at this time, the two had not yet regained their senses from the previous incident. To be honest, it was also the first time they had seen Li Qiye take action, and the means were so ruthless that they directly destroyed him. But ultimately, it was also to help the two of them. I am very grateful to Li Qiye, but I feel a bit uncomfortable in my heart. Li Qiye did not pay attention to their expressions. At this moment, he thought to himself that he needed to break through quickly. This time, he had disabled Han Feiyu, and it was estimated that the elder behind him would not give up easily. It seems that he was already thinking about how to kill himself, but in the Lingxu cave, he would not take action. One reason is that Pang Bo, Li Qiye, and others were originally favored by the sect as immortal seedlings, with the potential to become the heavenly pride of the Tao Palace or even higher realms in the future. On the other hand, the old man also wanted to take them away and refine them into a great medicine for the human body. At this point, taking action would only backfire and make them protected by the sect. This time, I believe I have already alarmed the people behind Han Feiyu. They are probably targeting you for this provocation, probably because they have taken a liking to your two bodies that have taken the holy potion. Of course, I may also be on his list. So I need to quickly break through to the realm of the Spring of Destiny. It's best for you to stay with me to avoid being calculated by them again, especially Ye Fan. You are not valued by the sect and have a much higher probability of being targeted. Upon hearing this, Ye Fan and his wife both found it very reasonable, so they both stayed at Li Qiye's residence. Anyway, the house was large enough, and besides their own place of cultivation, there were also guest rooms for them to rest. The most important thing for him at the moment is to break through. He has reached the edge of breaking through, and the feeling of facing Han Feiyu this time is even stronger. It is estimated that he will be able to successfully break through in about 2 days, and his own strength will be strengthened once again. Before that, he sold the greenwood seal he had obtained by defeating Han Feiyu and looked at the valuation of the system all. This thing is only worth 50 spirit stones, which is junk goods, and he can't buy anything good. After thinking about it, I still spent 30 spirit stones to buy a sword, which is equivalent to a weapon in the Wheel Sea realm and enough for him to use before reaching the Dao Palace realm. Later, he called Ye Fan and took out 15 bottles of Baichao liquid from the bedside cabinet to give him. This was the leftover he had used before, and now it is of little use to him. However, there should still be some use for Ye Fan. Ye Fan couldn't help but feel grateful as he looked at the dozen or so bottles of Baichao liquid. He felt that he had not crossed friends and had helped him many times in his difficult times. He didn't refuse either, but kept these things in mind. He will definitely repay Li Qiye's kindness in the future. Subsequently, Li Qiye broke through the closed door. In the guest room, Ye Fan and Pang Bo were also discussing breakthroughs. Of course, it was Ye Fan who made a breakthrough. He had no hope of opening up the bitter sea. After all, Pang Bo and his own little herb liquid hardly felt the existence of the life wheel in the bitter sea. However, this time he thought he should be able to succeed. He didn't believe that the activation of his ancient holy body was so abnormal, as he had been drinking before and the ones given by Li Qiye. If it were to be counted as his misfortune, he would have to wait until later to find opportunities to break through. Subsequently, under the protection of Pang Bo, he drank all the Baichao liquid. Apart from the boiling essence in his blood, he still did not feel any discomfort. Although he has some confidence, his heart is still very uneasy. If he fails, it will undoubtedly be a blow to him. However, after just thinking for a moment, he calmed down and began to hold his breath. Finally, the emperor lived up to those who had intentions. This time, he sensed that with the power of this 100 herbs liquid, he opened up the sea of suffering in one fell swoop. Not knowing how long had passed, the room suddenly shone brightly, emitting waves of tsunami-like sounds. Ye Fan's bitter sea burst out with endless divine radiance, shining golden and accompanied by lightning and thunder. At this moment, in Ye Fan's bitter sea, there were countless divine lights and brilliant rainbows, with golden waves surging and accompanied by bursts of lightning and thunder. There was a fierce tsunami happening, with waves soaring into the sky. Pang Bo beside him was stunned and stared blankly at everything in front of him. He was a bit puzzled. Why was the scene different from when he opened up the bitter sea? This was definitely opening up the bitter sea, not the spring of life, and what was the shining golden light about? How do you feel like a tycoon? So this is the ancient holy body, a golden sea of bitterness, shimmering with golden light, full of power. No wonder breakthrough is so difficult. Emotions are just filled with too little money. Several hours passed, and the golden radiance around Ye Fan began to slowly dissipate. He also opened his eyes, with a hint of golden light flashing through them. Pang Bo's urgent voice beside him asked, "Yi, how are you? Have you broken through yet?" Ye Fan said excitedly, "I've made a breakthrough. I didn't expect I really succeeded." Looking into his sesame seed-sized sea of suffering, his face was very happy. Pang Bo said, "Previously, I saw a trace of divine power running through your bitter sea. Did you directly break through to the spring of life realm?" "No, I'm just suffering, maybe it's because of my physical condition," Ye Fan said with some confusion. "So your ancient holy body is really extraordinary. Just as you opened up the sea of suffering, there was such an extraordinary sight that shocked me just now. If old Li saw this, he would probably envy me to death." Ye Fan looked at Pang Bo helplessly and said, "Don't talk about these useless things anymore. Now we just need to wait for Lao Li to break through successfully and leave here. This is no longer a safe place. We have offended Elder Han, and he is probably plotting against us in secret. Over time, we will inevitably encounter problems." After speaking, everyone looked towards Li Qiye's room, hoping that he could break through quickly, otherwise there might be trouble finding him again. In the room, Li Qiye had already reached his final step. As long as he cleared the land of suffering and opened up a spring eye in the wheel of life, he would become a life spring cultivator. This way, he could fly in the same domain as Vivi and those elders, and his life-saving ability would be further enhanced. I don't know how long it took, but a clear and bright water column emerged from the surface of the bitter sea, forming a spring. He successfully broke through to the realm of the Fountain of Destiny. Although it was expected by him, he still had some joy. After all, this was his first time breaking through the realm on his own, and he felt a strong sense of achievement. Then he opened his eyes and walked out of the room. He saw that Ye Fan and Pang Bo were already waiting for him outside. He couldn't help but be stunned for a moment and said with some suspicion, "Can't you two get into any trouble again?" Pang Bo was unhappy and said, "Hey, Lao Li, what are you saying? Are we troublemakers? We've always been in trouble, and we've never been in trouble. We're all great citizens." "Do you think so, Ye?" Ye Fan didn't speak and didn't want to talk to him. This guy's mouth was getting more and more broken, and there was a trend towards evolution towards the 8 women. Sometimes I want to sew his mouth together, it's too annoying. End of this chapter.